What's up, Terran House? Today, instead of going over the dev stream, I'm going to be going over the dev workshops. The description, will have the links to these, and I'm doing this just kind of quickly. I don't really have enough time to do a super edited video because Koumei and the Five Fates, as we can read right here, is coming out October 2nd. So this is going to be more of like a rough draft. I'm just going to go over this because not a lot of people on YouTube actually bother to go into the dev workshops. Please keep in mind everything on these workshops is subject to change, but you are going to be able to get a free Caliban with his rework and 5 Forma, which is very nice. As long as you log in between October 2nd and October 16th, as listed here, specific times coming later. We don't know that, but hey, free shit, right? There is a video. This is Pablo. He is the GOAT. He is the greatest. You can watch this if you go onto YouTube and look it up, or in the description below. I will put the link here, and then you can watch it on the dev workshop yourself. But the important thing is Caliban's rework has him getting the Tau status effect, which is going to make it so that enemies have a higher chance of receiving a status. Chance of read here. This mechanic increases the likelihood of an enemy receiving a status effect when hit. So this is basically pseudo status chance. So if you have a 10% status chance and your target has 90% status chance vulnerability, they will have a 100% chance of getting status procced. I think. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work. That's ideally how it would work. If it works the exact same way as Dante's Page Flight Peregrines, that is how it will work. So if you go over, let's say you have a weapon that has a 100% status chance, and then you afflict them with 10 stacks of Tau, well, now you're basically using a 200% status chance gun, so you'll proc 2 heat procs instead of just 1, which is really good. Passive. Caliban's passive is virtually unchanged. We changed it to gather stacks when Caliban is immune, similar to adaptation. This is very sad. This actually kind of sucks. So Caliban's passive has this problem where they actually mention the problem with it right here. Adaptation. Adaptation's cap is 90%. Caliban's cap is 50%. Now, Caliban does provide his passive to the whole of his squad. Everybody who's in squad range or affinity range does get Caliban's passive, but only being 50% is just, it's not really that good. And anybody who's using adaptation basically doesn't get Caliban's passive. I'd have liked to see this be, and maybe mechanically, it will become a separate damage reduction than adaptation is. But we'll have to see. 8 gathering stacks when Caliban is immune is very much not as good of a change as you would think. Excuse me. So currently speaking, Caliban has 0 way, as far as I know, of making himself invulnerable. So the only way for him to be invulnerable is either an ally makes you invulnerable or use Vazarin's protective dash, which will give you 5 seconds of invulnerability. But if you have access to those things, then 1, you don't need damage reduction if you're fucking immune to damage in the first place, and 2, if you have an ally who's providing you the survivability, this really isn't doing much for you then. Razor Gyre has received a mighty upgrade. Razor Gyre inflicts the Tau status effect on enemies will instruct, refunding health, shields, and energy pools, all while traversing the battlefield. It is now a status-afflicting traversal tool with multiple synergies. Tap to dash forward as a spinning vortex, hitting all enemies within your radius. Caliban gains 20 health for every enemy hit. If your health is overflowed, it becomes shields. If your shields are overflowed, it becomes overshields. It also refunds 25% of the energy cost when hitting enemies, allowing a refund. So if you hit 4 enemies with this, it gets to be free. Loot and energy orbs cannot be collected with Razor Gyre. Razor Gyre now inflicts Tau status instead of Slash or Impact from 500 to 1,000. This is actually huge here. This is actually huge. The fact that they're doubling the base damage on this is just good. The fact that he can pick up energy and health orbs now also is really good. This sounds like when they say a traversal tool, so I'm thinking abilities like Lavos' Viral Rush or Hydroid's Tidal Surge. Those are kind of your traversal tools where you just go into the animation and you go forward. I'm interested to see if this gets affected by range. And if the range is like the distance you go, or the radius of the circle you're spinning in, to see if you can like, or both, that would be really good. Excuse me. It kind of sucks that this becomes over shields. I would have loved to see this become over guard instead of over shields, but this seems pretty good on paper. This is probably still going to be the ability you end up replacing, but you know, it's not bad. Sentience Wrath. So Sentience Wrath, currently you like stomp the ground and you send out this energy wave and enemies get knocked up. And brought to life with similar card control abilities while removing the target cap. This is big. This is what actually, honestly, if they made no other changes to this ability, just removing the target cap is a huge boon for this ability to be worth using, because it's basically just a bad version of Stomp right now, because one, it has an actual projectile travel time to knock enemies up, and the current cap is like 16, and I don't think that's modifiable. Maybe it's modifiable up to like 32 with power strength, but either way, especially late game when swarms of infested can get like 50, 60 little gremlins on their own, and you're dealing with like 500 maggots, it's just not worth it. And Steel Path, like, you're very much fighting more than 16 enemies at a time. And on top of that, I'm pretty sure currently this cap gets affected by enemies who are CC immune. So if you hit an Eczemus enemy with this, they eat one of the counts you have to your cap, while also not getting knocked up in the first place. There's no reason to have caps in Warframe, in my opinion. It's just a fun kill. There's no reason for it. If you know what you're doing, you can easily hit damage cap anyway. Like, there's no reason to cap things in Warframe, in my opinion. My cats are trying to harass me here. But yeah, it's good that they're removing this cap. There's no, putting a cap on the abilities is just a game design way that's like very on the nose and anti-fun, in my opinion. And now does Tau status instead of impact. This is just going to be the theme where all of his damage becomes Tau, which is nice, because I do believe they said here Tau damage is neutral, so no enemy is resistant to it. The other part with it being neutral is it means no enemy is weak to it, so your damage is consistent, which is nice. You can also recast the ability even if the first wave hasn't finished casting. This is very, very, very good, and increasing the cast speed by 25% is very, very nice as well. This ability just... Part of the reason you don't use this ability is you need to put on Natural Talent, because Natural Talent is a mod that gives you 50% cast speed, and 50% cast speed is really nice when your ability is slow as this one is. This ability is way too slow to be good, and the fact that you can't recast it until the first energy wave finishes its travel time, which you then can't speed up in any way because there's no actual way to speed that up, so it just being faster is really good. Lethal Progeny. So Lethal Progeny, you summon one Sentinel, you can summon up to 3 of them, and they're supposed to protect you and reinforce your shields, but they're not really all that good. Summons in Warframe in general, because you can't control the AI, tend to be very lackluster, and these guys tended to die, or they would like refurbish your shields at like times when you didn't need it, so they were pretty bad. So you can now summon 3 types of sentience: the Ortholist, Sumulist, and the Conculist. The Conculist is the one that he currently summons. All sentience summon will naturally adapt to incoming enemy damage. You can only summon a set of sentience at a time, so no mixing one Conculist, 2 Orthos, or one of each type. Okay, that's... I don't like that. I would rather it be like you summon one of each, personally, but I guess we'll see what they do. I don't like that you can't mix, but trade-offs, I guess. Each sentient comes with its own unique mechanic. Conculus will match Fusion Strike with one of their own. Ortholists will deliver a rain of guaranteed Tau status across the battlefield. And Sumulus, capable of summoning 6 resilient Coralists, will draw attention from you and your allies and ensuring your shields are never depleted. Oh, so it's just a shield battery and a taunt. Okay, so you've got like a melee one, a ranged one, and a support one. Okay. You summon all 3 of the chosen sentients with 1 cast instead of previously needing to cast it 3 times. This is one that we knew about. It's really good. Recasting will replace sentients and summon new ones where Caliban is aiming. That's nice. Conculist is still the melee one. They have the tornado ability, the last 6 seconds, cooldown to 4, so they'll spin to win more often. That's nice. Tornado damage has been increased to 1,000 for the like, look at this number change. Look at that. That is what I'm talking about when I'm saying, like, why. 50 damage is pitiful. You could probably, a mechanic you can do in Warframe is what's known as slide kicking, where you jump at an enemy and you do the slide animation in the air and you kick the enemy with your foot. That probably does more damage than 50. So that is a 200% increase in damage. These do not scale with any Warframe mods. That sucks. Concula, I would have rather seen this scale with strength. Please, cat. Everybody say hi to Cinnamon, my cat. You're gonna meow for people? No, she's just sniffing it. Okay, go over there, please. I'm trying to record. The Conculus will not cast Fusion Strike along Caliban for 50% effectiveness. This is always good. I like it when summons don't have full power of the Warframe, because you are the player and they're the support, so this isn't their anime. They shouldn't be doing as much damage as you. So I actually agree with this. Conculus will target their Fusion Strike wherever Caliban fired. That's just nice because it gives you some control of where they're going to shoot it instead of them shooting it randomly. Conculus target priority. Conculus target priority was lowered to incentivize using the Sumulus as the premier distraction noodle. Okay, so it's not going to taunt as much because they want you to use the Sumulus for that. That's fine. I say above, Conculus no longer recharges shields. So this one's just like a melee-focused offensive one. Ortholist, summon a long-range unit. It only inflicts Tau damage and Tau status, field in mass with their cannon and mortar forms. The Orthos cannons have 100% status chance. That's nice. Oh, the cannon form is 300%. That's really good. I think this is going to be a running theme. I don't think any of these guys are going to scale with mods. This seems good on paper. This seems really good on paper. I don't like that you don't have any control if, like, it's form switching, but hey, if it's just like a summon that's there providing you some damage support, giving you more status and acting as a primer. A lot of Warframes have this kind of built-in status chance that can help your damage with things like Galvanized Aptitude and Condition Overload for more damage. The fact that he has his own unique status in Tau that increases his status, and now he has these little cannon guys that can help spread his Tau status while also spreading more status through his guns. That's good. This means that he has really good synergy just innately with Condition Overload or the Galvanized Aptitude set, which is really good. Sumulus are portal-based summons, shield regenerating Coralists that'll distract your foes while recharging you and your allies' shields. That's actually really nice that he has some built-in support capabilities. When killed, will immediately be replaced. Okay, so the Sumulist will summon them on its own. I imagine that since there's 3 Sumulists, they'll each summon 2. The Coralists have the highest possible target priority, ensuring enemies will target them whenever possible instead of players. That's insane. Having an actual, like, good taunt, essentially, to keep damage off of you is very nice. Coralist shields recharge a base rate of 25 shields per second, scaling with okay, so they did make it so that something does scale with ability strength. This is good. We'll also apply the shield recharge rate to you and your allies. Okay, so if you build for strength, which you have incentive to do with Fusion Strike and Razor Gyre, you will also increase your defenses, which is actually nuts. The range to receive the shield recharges scales with ability range. Okay, so this is good because you have incentive to build strength and range on him right now. I'm glad they're not taking away those incentives and they're keeping it the same. It'll make reformatting him and remodding him really, really, really nice and really easy to do. His sentience will benefit from a 10 times damage multiplier against all non-sentient faction enemies whenever a sentient unit deals sentient damage. Okay. Oh, this is just this is just a nice change. Rip bunny hopping on the sentience, but okay, this is also just like quality of life cleanup stuff. That's very, very nice to see. Just kind of, there are some things that should be homogenized. I want them to do this change right here for Atlas as well, if it's not already in the game. It's been a while since I played Atlas, but Atlas should be able to see his rumblers. Also, yes. This as well. Make it so that the summons, if you have them, are customizable. Same with Atlas rumblers. You can already customize Venari, so it's less of a complaint for her. But yeah, the ability that benefits the most from the quality of life chain calculations, along with your calculations, how damage is delivered. The beam itself is a base 1500 Tau damage per second, scaling with strength. That's fucking high, man. That's really good. So the way that damage works in Warframe is it scales off your ability strength. So if you have 100% ability strength, this is 30,000 damage. Which, while not like so insanely like high, you're gonna one-shot everything in the game, it's still gonna chunk things very, very much. And since it's Tau damage that's neutral, you don't have to worry if an enemy resists it or anything like that. Cinnamon, can you go down there and play with Pepper, please? Can you get off my desk? My cats are... I'm going to throw out pictures of my cats, just so you guys know. They're kittens. I've only had them for a few days. Reduce the player's turning speed while casting fusion. Where was I? I was at the top here. The Convergence Explosion deals 750 base Tau damage, scaling with ability strength. Okay, so it does this 1500 initial, and then it does another 750. Enemies struck will explode with further damage after the cast. So you do 1500 base damage, and then they explode for another 50% base Tau damage, which scales with strength. And the convergence. So the way that this ability works is he holds out his hands, and he fires like a beam from his head, and then he converges two beams from like a triangle. So the convergence explosion. So now the beams that come in from the sides will come into the center. Those will all explode. That's a lot of damage potential. The beam has a status percent of 20%. That kind of sucks, but really, with all the other ways he has to spread the status, I don't think this is going to be the most important part. Enemies cannot be damaged by more than one fusion beam strike per cast. That's just nice quality of life. Defense reduction strip occurs only once. This is a permanent strip, so it doesn't matter that it only occurs once. 50% defense strip at 100 ability strength or 100% at 200 ability strength. So your baseline is 50. You have incentive to get like 200% anyway. Getting 200% strength is not that hard at all. This probably means that you always have to run Molt Augmented on him, but who fucking cares? You want strength for Sentience Wrath. You want strength for Razor Gyre. You want strength for your Somnulists anyway. So like building strength is not counterintuitive, so making it so that this works like this is good. The beam now applies the armor strip, not the radiation, not the radio field. So before, the way this ability works is there's an explosion at the end, and that explosion would strip armor. So now that the actual beams do, that's really just consistent. It means that you can strip more armor. It means that the damage won't get nuked from armor. Previously, the damage field left behind what enabled armor stripping, which felt awkward if an enemy left before it could apply. Now it applies when the beam hits an enemy, making much... Yeah, basically this. Because some of the enemies, especially the ones who are immune to CC, they would just walk out of it and then they wouldn't get armor stripped. And it's like, that sucks. Can now deal damage multiple times in one instance, meaning the beam can proc damage ticks in one activation to support damaging enemies more than once. Okay, so it's just more damage, more consistent damage. The beam handles the intention was to ensure Fusion Strike felt like a committed cast while helping the players strike enemies due to the beam's increased lethality. Okay, this is fine. It's more of like I'm firing a big laser. I'm anchored into this spot. That's absolutely okay. There are many, many abilities that you can't like turn on a dime in the middle of casting anyway. Casting Fusion Strike now makes him immune to damage. Okay, so we do have some synergy with the passive here. I was going to say, if they didn't do that, this change was nothing. But now that he can stack this while he's immune, and he has a free immunity, you know, this isn't like, well, not a free immunity. This ability is 100 energy. I don't know if that's staying the same. But yeah, that's overall, the only real complaint I have with Caliban is I would have loved to see his passive become 90% maximum instead of 50%. But we'll see how it goes. He should have way more survivability with the Somnulist. Unfortunately, I think his Lethal Progeny is going to have the problem where the Somnulist, it looks like, is going to be the only one you bother with, which is sad. It'll probably be like Somnulist, then Orthulus, then Conculus. Although Conculus might be slightly better than Orthulus just because it can use Fusion Strike. It's going to depend on if the Conquest has the same armor strip as Caliban, or if the 50% effectiveness also applies to the defense strip. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm super excited to see Caliban be good. Caliban has been needing work for a while. He actually has a very, very cool thematic that I think he's just like eating the space of, but he's not really performing with. Wukong. Okay, so Wukong's getting nerfed again because people keep doing degenerate shit with Wukong. So currently what you can do with Wukong is you can heavy slam into Cloudwalker infinitely, and you're immortal and never take damage and constantly CCing enemies, and you can just set up a macro to do this forever. It's not cool. It's not fun to play. I don't this is just cleanup, making it so that way his Celestial Stomp augment no longer can crowd control enemies. This is just cleanup because they never fixed it. Wukong is still going to be fine. He's still going to be playable. Personal take, I would love to see them up his Iron Staff damage, because people take off his Iron Staff because it's bad. I would love to see... Admittedly, Exalted Weapons holistically need buffed, because people take off, like, Exalted Blade from Excalibur and stuff. But this is just... this is just to nerf the disruptive gameplay of him constantly going in and out of Cloudwalker and heavy slamming things. That's not the only thing you can do on Wukong. He's still fine. He can still use his Iron Staff. Sure, you don't see like 30 billion million damage from his Iron Staff, but it's still a usable weapon, even if it does need some help. The rest of his kit is still fine. Like, you don't have to... Wukong will be fine. He will still be playable. Yes, maybe he needs a buff. All of the Exalted Weapon users need a buff on their Exalted Weapons, okay? There, I said it. Like, Wukong's fine. This is just because this is degenerate, and it's annoying to watch people do. It's annoying to play with. I hate it. This is a good change. This is just, like, nerfing things that should not exist. This shouldn't have existed. Does it suck that it's getting removed? Not really. It's a good thing. Hildren is receiving some changes to her kit. They're buffing her Balefire. Hey, look, an Exalted Weapon that's getting buffed. Wow. This just falls in line with what I was saying with Wukong, where Wukong is devolving into degenerate playstyles because his Exalted Weapon sucks. Hildren, admittedly, her Balefire Charger has never been good, so maybe this makes it better. For those of you who don't know, Hildren doesn't use energy. She uses her shields as her energy bar, so that's why this is 200 shields for a max charge shot instead of 200 energy, because she uses shields. With this, charging the Balefire will be more worthwhile time investment compared to the dominance of fast firing the weapon. I personally would like to see this just become a full auto pistol, but it is what it is. They wanted to make it a charge weapon. Increasing it to 1500 base damage is absolutely insane. It's really good. Exalted Weapons basically need this like super high beast damage, because this also increases with power strength, and on top of that, Hornet Strike and her other mods. So this being 1500 is really good. If you get 200% power strength, then it's 3000 base damage, and then you throw on Hornet Strike, and then it's, you know, let's say you've got a rank 9 Hornet Strike, so it's 200% more damage on that. So it'll go from 3,000 to 6,000. I believe that's how the math on Balefire works. If it's not, the comments can tell me I'm wrong. But as far as I know, Exalted Weapons get their base damage. Their base damage is modified by their strength, and then that value is modified by mods. I'm not entirely sure if that's still true, but, you know, I'll double check it, and if I'm wrong, I'll throw up a thing that says I'm wrong here. Unequipping the Balefire Charger now re-equips your previously selected weapon instead of your secondary weapon. That's just nice. Balefire Charge automatically being equipped on her 4. Her 4 needs some help because this is the ability everybody gets rid of. Much more fluid regarding ability usage and movement. I hope you like quadrupled the speed on this thing. Part of the reason why people don't use Age of Storm is you are just so fucking slow while you're flying around. Being able to use Pillage and any Helmuth ability while Age of Storm is active is good. Locked in place for the duration of the animation. Hildren can now move around when activating Balefire Charger while in Aegis Storm instead of being locked in place for the duration. I didn't know that was a thing, so I have no idea how that means. This is the part that's important, though. Increase your movement speed, movement acceleration, and hover ascension rate while in Aegis Storm. That's the part that's good. I hope they, like, quadrupled or quintupled her movement speed in Aegis Storm, and then the ability is worth talking about. The rest of this stuff is... Whoop! I didn't mean to click that. The rest of this stuff is whatever, as long as she's actually fast enough to have it worth using, and it doesn't slow my gameplay down. Deactivating Aegis Storm now makes Hildren invulnerable for a short period to prevent dying mid-animation. Okay, fine. Now performs a proper ground slam similar to Rhino Stomp or Corvex's Chainiac Pillar. This is okay. This is whatever. Slams all lifted enemies simultaneously, unlike when they dropped with random delays previously. Okay, so just clean up harmonization, clean up harmonization with other frames, and this is just a, hey, you don't die. I think Warframes that have these kind of longer animations need this. They need this invincible period, because if you're dying in your animation, it kills your ability to use the ability. Literally. Because if you're dying while trying to do the thing, then you can't do the thing. Which admittedly, Hildren's one of the tankier frames in the game, so she doesn't die as often as some other frames. But it's nice to see that they're taking this, hey, if it's a long animation, just give them that moment of being immune to damage. And then, one of the reworks that they hot dropped on us with this is Nova. Nova is a frame who parts of her kit have stood the test of time. Parts of her kit are just garbage. Like here, Nova's original passive a bit of a blast radius upon being knocked down, meaning any prime sure-footed users would have seen this nullified entirely. Also, it only did like 30 damage. Like, who cares? Enemies killed while slowed will drop health orbs. Enemies killed while sped up will have energy orbs. We will talk about this in a minute. This is relevant to her 4. Her 4 change is the biggest part of this rework. We'll talk about it when we get to her 4. Null Star is now recastable. This should just be a thing for all frames. It does not make sense to me as a player that there are certain abilities that are duration based that I can only have up for 30 seconds, but I can't recast them before they end, and then I have to build them back up. So this is big. This is absolutely... People would use the Augment Neutron Star just because it let you recast the ability. It's the same reason why people use Puncturing Roar on Rhino. It's not because the mod is good, it's because the mod allows you to recast the ability. So this is not as good as it is just because. As this is not Nova's main damage source, players were incentivized to reduce ability range if they wanted to keep as many Null Star particles as possible. Yes! That is absolutely what you would do on Nova, is you would run narrow-minded and you would try to tank your range as much as possible, so that way you would always have your Null Stars up, because if you ever didn't have your Null Stars up, you were basically dead. Increase base particle count from 6 to 12. That's massive. Doubling her particle count is obviously massive, especially since each one gives 5%. Increasing. This is all just good. The Null Star damage resistance applying to shields and health instead of just health is also just like insanely good. I don't know why it didn't apply to her shields before, but hey, you're way bulkier now. She is a shield based frame. She has higher shields than she does health anyway, so now you have more incentive to kind of go into those shields. Change the damage type from slash to blast. They're making all of her damage blast. She's going to be the blast based frame. Blast is now a really good damage type, so it's okay for her to be blast based. Damage in the Null Star doubled. A lot of Warframes, a lot of older Warframes, especially like Nova and Volt, they need this like kind of just base damage number go up because their abilities really haven't stood the test of power creep. And unless DE goes and nerfs all of the enemy's health and armor, they just need to buff these Warframes damages. Antimatter drop. Speaking of abilities that needed more damage, hey, antimatter drop. Tapping the ability input will cause the drop. Okay, so this just if we look at the
hope you didn't miss me too much. Here I am.
the video. This is like the one time I'm going to show it here. If you watch what he does, he just like recasts it and it instantly goes to where his cursor is. It looks way better. It does like actual sizable damage. You can no longer cast multiple at a time, seeing as now you cast it once and then the recast causes it to go where it's supposed to be. Only 5 shots will be absorbed by the enemy. Okay, so yeah, it's just a, you know, it's just a better ability. There's not really much to talk about here. It's faster, it's more responsive, it does more damage. It changed from radiation to blast, which is good. It only needs 5 shots, which means your rapid fire weapons are going to charge it up faster. All good. Wormhole, this ability isn't like too much to talk about. Her wormhole, basically, she puts this portal out and you get teleported through the portal. Not a whole lot to talk about. Molecular Prime, this is the thing that we wanted to talk about with Nova. So currently what Nova does, Nova has 2 builds, Speedva and Slova. So Speedva is what happens when you go negative power strength on Nova. So when you use mods like Overextended and Power Donation, you would reduce your power strength from 100% to 15%. And that would mean that you actually sped enemies up, which was very, very nice, especially for defense missions, because suddenly your enemies that you were trying to kill would get to you faster and you could kill them quickly. And because the damage didn't actually matter for Molecular Prime, it meant that Speedva tended to be better, except against Infested, where you need them to slow down so they don't swarm you. So this led to 2 different kind of builds for Nova, Speedva and Slova. So they are making it so that it is a tap hold. On tap, you get the slowing effect. This is unchanged from how the ability has worked forever, but now you can hold it and force enemies to speed up. So now you get a choice, and what you'll be able to do is kind of choose which one's best for the situation. So you can speed all of your enemies up to where you need them to be to kill them, and then slow them down and nuke them. Very, very nice change for Nova. Even if this was all they did to this ability, I would call it phenomenal. But instead, they cleaned it up. The bonus damage multiplier now applies to all defenses, not just health. And the multiplier has been added to the ability screen so people can better understand Molecular Prime's mechanics. This is part of the reason why people would go negative power strength on Nova, because you didn't actually know that it had a multiplier on it, so you didn't have to care. The speed of effect bypassing crowd control immunity is really nice, because this is more of a buff to the enemies than it is a nerf, so why not? And then killing primed enemies have a 20% chance to blast proc any nearby enemies. So she's the blast frame. She's got a lot going for her. It's really, really good. Really, really nice. You're probably going to end up removing Wormhole the most, because you don't really need the mobility that Wormhole offers if you end up going with helmet stuff. But absolutely wonderful, wonderful changes for Nova. So let's go into the companion reworks. Oh boy, this is going to be a long video. I need to take a drink. So, companions. This is kind of what I wanted to get my Kubra video out. I was actually working on a Sentinel review video where I wanted to talk about why Sentinels were kind of falling off. But they announced all of the changes, and Koumei and the Five Fates is coming out in like 4 days as of recording this. So I'm not going to get that video out in time. I'm just scrapping it. We're going to go over this, and then we'll talk about the Sentinel update. But this is all really, really, really good information. I haven't even read this page myself yet, so I don't know if they've revealed more than what they revealed at the Tokyo Game Show dev stream. So let's go over it together. Moddable, now the information is up to date as of the day of posting, but it is a preview of coming features. Not a final reference. Okay, so this is subject to change. Given a large number of changes when the update launches, you can look forward to an inbox containing 5 free forma to help you adapt your companions. So are we getting 10 forma total? Are we getting 10 total forma? Because this one says that we're going to get a 5 forma. Maybe it's just the 5 and in case people read like one before the other, just so that people know. First up, we are separating the weapon mod slot on all of your non-sentinel companions except hounds who already had one. So the hounds of Parvos have like 3 different weapons they could equip, and then the sentinels had their whole arsenal they could equip. But your beast companions, your Vulpaphyla, the Predicites, the Kavats, Kubros, you would have to mod like Flame Gland on the 10 slots that you have themselves. And it made it so that the companions, especially the Kubros and the Kavats, they had so many other damage types that or so many other mods, excuse me, that putting on Flame Gland just wasn't worth putting on over like Duplex Bond or Reinforced Bond or, the Synth mod set. Kavats, what's the Kavat duration mod? Tech Enhance, I believe it's called. Like, Smida's Charm. All of those mods are competing for the 10 mod slots. So your damage mods for the Kubros and the Kavats and the Predicites never got seen. Never. So giving them their own weapon slots, similar to how the Sentinels do, is a huge buff. Being able to mod their claws or teeth or whatever. A common complaint that we've heard is that there's not enough mods for pets that don't have separate weapons because they use the same mods used by the preset mods, survivability mods, and damaging mods. We absolutely agree this is a problem. Yeah, see, this is exactly what I just said, only more coherent and less ramble. When you start the game, you will automatically receive a beast-specific weapon for each of your beast companions. This does not take an inventory or cost you any resource. Beast weapons will get infinity on rank up, but they will not contribute to your overall mastery. Posture mod slots for beast weapons alter their behavior, giving extra mod capacity. So the posture mod that they showed, I'm going to try to find it here. Let me see if I can... So they have essentially a stance mod, right? They have a stance mod, and as you can see, we have placeholders, infectious inclination. He actually showed like pacifist training. He actually shows one of them right there, bravado assault. So these, I'm guessing things like pacifist training, protector training, persistent engagement. These are all these kind of stance mods that you can do to train your Kubro, essentially, right? So, yeah, I imagine these inclination mods are just like ice, but they already have shock collars and frost jaw, so why would you need an ice 6060 and an electric 6060? I don't know what these are for, but pacifist training, protector training, and bravado assault, they're just mods that let you kind of train your beast on what you want them to do. As a result, different companions will have unique weapons based on their individual type, instead of being identical. So yeah, this is just damage changes for the Vulpaphyla Kubro. 200 slash plus an additional non-combining 50 toxin damage. That's nice. But we rebalance the base damage of 152 to a base damage of 300. Yeah, so it looks like they're all going to have right around 300. The Chessa having less damage is weird to me. Previous all Kubro types had 304% damage with 5% status and 10% crit. So it looks like the Harass is going to be your crit one. The Rakasa is a status one. The Sunika gets... Holy shit! 550 base damage for the Sunika? Oh, that's the highest one on the board, by the way. 350 here, 320 here, 300 here. 90. The Kavats having less damage is nice, actually, because the Kavats were never... damage focused. The Kubros were actually like damage focused, and the Predicites are damage focused. The Kavats have always been about like the Adarza Kavat giving you crit chance, or the Smita being the fucking Smita. This is huge. 500 damage. I really hope that it goes live with that, honestly. With 3.5 crit multi and 7.5 crit chance, that's... Okay, the crit chance could be better, but 3.5 crit multi with 500 base damage is insane. Yeah, man. That's nuts. That's really good. I'm not seeing, other than the Harass, I'm not seeing... Oh, okay, the Adarza too. I'm looking at stats that will let them proc the Tandem Bond. Tandem Bond is one where if your companion has a certain crit chance... it will give you an increase in your final crit multiplier. I want to say they need at least 20%. So it looks like the Harass can do it, and the Adarza and the Smita can. Overall, good changes. I'm really sad that they're not showing previously 250 damage, now 200 plus an additional non-combining 50 toxin. So you've nerfed the helmet's damage by 100? Or is it saying... Oh, I guess it was 50. It was 350 toxin before, so now it's 200 slash with the toxin. That'll be interesting to see. The Hound Companions are already at a moddable weapon, but we rebalanced it. Okay, that's fine. Please note that while these weapons are now moddable, we did not add them to the Riven system, nor do we have plans to. Thank you. Thank God. So many extreme changes, companions all the time. We want the... Okay, please don't give the... Please do not make it so that my Smita claws have a fucking Riven. I will actually cry. Pets would previously follow behind you while moving, which made it harder to notice them or put them further away from enemies when combat started. Pets will now try to lead you instead, staying a few meters ahead while you are moving, so they're ready to attack when combat starts. Base speed of companions with legs has been significantly increased. The base speed of companions with legs has been significantly increased. Which one of these don't have legs? Do you mean the Sentinels? Because this doesn't matter for the Sentinels. The Sentinels essentially get shoulder mounted to you, and they're the only ones that don't have legs. So I don't really know what this means. Pets would previously choose targets in a complete circle around the player, which this would mean that when using their abilities or making attacks, they weren't even on screen, so it's hard to appreciate them being useful. This has been tuned so that all pets will prefer to choose targets that are near you in your field of view. That's nice. I've noticed this before where my dog is making noises in the background and I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? Improve pet animations while following the player through bullet jumps and double jumps so that they animate more quickly and fluidly. I will admit this is a nice change because sometimes they would just like T-pose at you. Changes to many of the companion preset mods are currently too small or too... If you watched my Kubra video, I said this. They're just too niche or broken at a baseline. We want your companion to be more meaningful. There is one notable preset mod that will need some special explanation. Out of respect for our readers, let's get that out of the way first. Charm Smita. Okay. Everybody who's played Warframe knows that the Smita is the best companion in the game because Charm has this one right... Oh, they took it out of here. We're just going to look it up. If we look at Charm and we look at this graph, you have a 28% chance. Okay, calm down, ads. You have a 28% chance every 27 seconds for your Kubro, or for your Kavat rather, to give you one of them. And this is what you wanted. For 120 seconds, you double all pickups. This right here, this right here, this is why the Smita is the best companion in the game, bar none. There is no way other companions can compete with this shit. This doubles your steel essence. This can double literally argon crystals. This can double, Entrati Lanthorns, Orican cells. Like, there's no competing with this. This is what makes it so that you need to use the Smita. It is being removed and promoted to being its own separate mod, Loyal Retriever. Provides a 13% chance that each resource or credit pickup will be doubled. This effect is always active. There is no cooldown, no duration, no waiting for it to be ready. If you already own a Smita Kavat, you will receive Loyal Retriever for free automatically. In the future, this will be purchased with conservation tags from the Earth Conservation Vendor. We chose 13% as being the statistically average of what amount of time Charm's resources bonus would be active. That's fair. This is still going to be like the mod to use. This mod, unfortunately, Kubros and Kavats naturally have 10 companion slots. They actually have 8 because you have to use Fetch and you're gonna have to use the Royal Retriever. Sorry. This is what Smita is going to do now. Affinity being 3 times more. I'd have rather seen this just be like the affinity. Personally, I'd have rather seen it where the Smita just has a chance to give you bonus affinity every so often, but it is what it is. We know this meta is very popular, so it's important to way we explain these changes are happening for two reasons. One, in a game with so much variety, we never want a specific choice for equipment. Like, you don't actually have to, you can just say it's overpowered. This is all like sweet talk right here. This is all sweet talk, but like you can just say it's game-breakingly overpowered, and it's the only reason that people use this meta. This is all cool. This is true here. The randomness encouraged players to wait. You would see players who would kill the acolytes, and then they just would not pick up the steel essence, and they would wait for their Kavat to charm them, and then they would go and get it, which is very, very annoying. It is very annoying to play with. It's very annoying to play around as you as a player. But hey, if you needed that doubled steel essence, then you had to just wait. You had to just wait. In our fast-paced game, all about space ninjas, we want to upload players who are... Yeah, so we re-engineered the effect to always be active. Yep, I agree with that. There are many preset mods to get through, but none need that much explanation, so onto the list. Acidic Spittle, increased projectile speed, accuracy, and always... Ooh, that's nice. Giving the Visor Predicite the ability to strip armor is cool. Increase the lifetime of the Cloud Spores from 6 seconds to 10, and increase the duration of the damage buff from 10 to 15. Okay, cool. Anti-grav mag, this is one of anti-grav grenades. This is one of the MOAs. Doubling the range is nice. Doubling the duration is nice. Fix the math, which was not giving the correct damage based on the mod's rank, nor is it considering damage against shields. Okay, see, remember when I made the video and I was like, some of them just don't work the way that they say they do? Hey, look at that, an ability that didn't work the way that it normally did. Formerly slowed enemies by 10% when they're in 3 meters in a constant order. Now hits enemies within 10 meters with 40 damage and 3 stacks of cold with a 10-second cooldown. Change to cost from 4 mod points at no ranks to having a base 2 mod points at 3 ranks. That's nice, actually. Making it so it's just cheap. List targets in the area thrown by 20% of its max damage plus the Vulpaphila's damage in a 5-meter radius. This is nice. 20% max damage and the Vulpaphila's weapon damage, which is now Vulpaphila, the Crescent, 100% status, 100 damage with 22.5 crit chance. If this can crit, it's really good. But yeah, that's just nice. Your Kubrow can now dig heavy ammo weapon packs when you need them. Yeah, that's all you really needed to do to dig. Dig was already like the most powerful thing that the Kubrows could do. I can't wait to see what Chessa and Sunika does. I have a lot of hope for Chessa. Also, I'm hoping that they kind of changed Shade and Harass to not be like carbon copies of each other. And since it becomes harder to capitalize on enemies when getting thrown around, and replace it with 5 stacks of puncture status effect on the Crescent Vulpaphila is unfortunately still going to be the weakest of the Vulpaphilas. What do you do? Pharaoh Predicite, the projectile now homes in on its targets and creates a visible tentacle attaching to held victims. It can now attach enemies that enter a radius after the projectile connects. Okay, so more range, more tether. Fix the preset being able to apply slow to the VIPs that should be immune to slow. Fix for being able to slow allies within range. Okay, so just bug fixes. Bug fixes, more range, more effective uptime since it works better. When you move out of range of the enemies, there's now a 3-second grace period before the invisibility ends. If you move back into range within enemies, the invisibility will be sustained. That's very, very, very nice. This is one of those just quality of life things that I think needed to happen. It never feels good when you're like just on the cusp of the range of dipping in and out of the enemies count that you need, and then it just like drops and it goes back in. It can be very joining that is just like drop in. So having a 3-second before your invisibility drops that you can play around to know to get back into enemy range is nice. Spores now explode immediately if they absorb more damage than the victim has health and inflict a portion of the damage in a 3-meter radius. Okay. This is the Medjais. I honestly haven't done too much with some of the Medjais and stuff because they just literally aren't worth using. Hunt now drags enemies within 2 meters of its charge and staggers within 3 meters and uses the pet's weapon damage. I would have rather seen Hunt become something that was just something that all Kubros could do, and the Harass just, like, got a different ability. But, you know, drags enemies within 2 meters of its charge and staggers within 3 meters. That's not terrible. The fact that it pulls enemies, so this is going to pull enemies behind it, similar to Tidal Surge. Because if it pulls enemies behind it, similar to Tidal Surge, and then you get this like ability to group them, that means that the Harass can now be a grouping kind of companion, which is very nice. Looter, Sentinel, 22 more meters, and the description updated to clarify it functions as a wave rather than a Sentinel shooting each crate individually. This is still not going to be worth using. You still never care that carrier can break boxes for you. Just break them yourself. Now, blinds enemies. Ooh, Mischief being able to blind. Does this open enemies to finishers? Blinding normally opens enemies to finishers, so that could be really good. Negate. Oh, so negate gives you the ability to ignore a status effect. It originally didn't work with Manifold's cooldown. This can essentially make you status immune. Which is very, very nice. Instead of disarming a single enemy, it now disarms and staggers in a 10-meter radius. Excellent. That was literally something that I said it should just do. It should just have an AoE. Giving it an AoE. Perfect. End of story. Initial damage now scales off pets equipped a weapon. The Predicites I'm going to have to actually play with, because I tried all the Predicites and I never once noticed their abilities. But now that their AI is going to be better, maybe they're better. I'll have to play with these. Enemies are open to melee finishers is really, really nice for the Paralytic Spores. Sunika, Savagery. Okay, this is one that I'm hoping we see a lot for. Would enable the Kubra to make a high damage finisher on a single enemy. The Kubra will rapidly teleport between up to 8 enemies in a 10-meter radius, doing damage and briefly immobilizing them. All victims are knocked down at the end of Savagery. Oh boy, that's funny. So they just Omayamu Shinderu people now? That's hilarious. Scan matter, the duration and cooldown for showing resources and containers at mining locations has been removed. The effect is now continuous. Thank God. This is the reason to bring to bring scan matter. This is the only reason to even use Oculus. Oculus is a sentinel you can get from the business on Fortuna, and the whole point is that it shows you where the hot spots are. Breaks open one container within 60 meters every 3 seconds and automatically collects its contents. That's also really nice. I don't think this is really going to be worth using. Well, actually, always showing you resource containers and mining locations. At least the resource containers, not as much, because those are just going to get shown on Loot Radar anyway. But always having the mining locations without having to pull out the mining thing is really nice. Title changed to sense weakness because now the Kavat is now the danger. Nice. Kavat gains 200% bonus damage against highlighted enemies, and Kavats have a 30% to knock highlighted enemies down. Okay, so they have some CC. They deal more damage. I do like this little. Changing it from sense danger to sense weakness is really nice. Cooldown reduced to 25 to 10. I don't actually know what shockwave actuators do. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Shockwave actuators. Oh, it's just a knockdown. Okay, so they can knock down more. That's okay. Survival instinct. This precept has been completely reworked. Formerly reduced the enemy accuracy against your Warframe until your next attack. This is literally useless. Now when you bullet jump, it creates a decoy which draws fire for... Huh? So it just gives every Warframe Saren's molts? Wow, that's okay. Alright, I dig that. That's really good. Getting just like this free decoy, even though it's only 1.5 seconds, it's still really powerful. Not getting shot at by enemies for a second and a half can be the difference between repositioning and dying or repositioning and living. Stalk. Literally, this is just Ghost again. I'm pretty sure Ghost and... Excuse me. I'm pretty sure Ghost and Stalk are just the same mod. Mechanically. I'm pretty sure they just pull from the same mechanics and they're just, like, renamed. Increase the radius of the stasis from 5 to 10 meters to make the visual effect more obvious. That's good. Anytime that these are just like range increases, they're obviously just good, especially when they get doubled. Now also works on reducing damage of hit scan weapons that hit you inside of the bubble instead of only projectiles. Hey, cool. Territorial aggression. Change the effect from pacifying wild creatures to causing damage. Your Kavat creates a 6-meter circle that lasts 15 seconds. Enemies inside the circle have a 30% chance each second to be hit by a ghostly Kavat that does the same damage as your real Kavat. This kind of sucks because it actually was nice to have the pacifying wild creatures things. That way you could scan the wild Kavats in the derelict on Deimos in order to get the Kavat genetic code, but I guess you could just like bring a Vara Sleep Arrow or use some other CC on them. Okay. Leaves a trail of violence behind when charging that applies damage to enemies that touch the spikes. That's actually not bad. I like that they give the Helminth a little bit of call out to Nidus because it is Nidus's dog. Trample knocks down enemies and applies toxin to any enemy struck. This is nice. Helminth Charger also gains bonuses to health, armor, and damage for each enemy struck while charging. That's okay. Damage not properly scales with the with the Strain Fever mod. Okay, that's okay. I like this. This is really good. It means that Strain Fever is probably like a mod you have to run if you plan on using Trample, but hey, absolutely okay, especially if Strain Fever ends up becoming a mod for the Helminth's claws or jaws. I don't know. I know the cats are getting claws. I don't know if the Kavats are getting, or excuse me, the Kavats are getting claws. If the Kubros are getting jowls, like that's really nice. This is literally in my script for the Kubro videos that I ended up cutting out just because of time constraints. I had said they should make it so that Unleashed targets Eximus enemies and strips their overguard, because it only being useful against VIP targets is awful. And this was literally my suggestion. This is literally what I had said to do. I never told anybody that except for like my brother and my friends that helped me with the Kubro script, where I had said that in the original draft of it, but I fucking said that this is what the Unleashed should do. Udon is back, bitches. I love this. Hi, Pepper. Speaking of my companions, my actual cat is still being a shit. Volatile Predicites. In addition to the built-in damage, Volatile Predicite now explodes for 100% of the damage sword while attached to the victim with an additional 1.4 multiplier if the victim dies before. Okay, so that's bad. That's not bad. Just more damage, more consistent. I like what I've seen with all of these precepts. All of them seem better. There are a few that I kind of hate got missed out. Like, I'd like to see Hunt just be different. Overall good changes. I like that Unleashed actually does something now. I like that Trample and Hunt do something now. Dig got like the bare minimum that it needed. I would like to see some of the other like not used preset mods, but it looks like we're getting into the Sentinel ones down here. Oh no, we're talking about the beast melee postures. Non-companions have moddable weapons. They will need mods to install. Some of the existing beast mods have been changed, and we introduced a few new ones to acquire. Postures. If you ever wish to have a little bit more control over how your companion engages the enemy, then check out these new melee posture mods that will shape your beast behavior. Standard training. Every new Kubro owner will gain this mod by default after completing the Howl of the Kubro quest. This posture has no special behaviors or benefits. It will be added to your inventory automatically. Okay, so you get, this is like the Tenokai one, right? This is like Dreamer's, oh, what the fuck's the new augment called? The new aura mod that you get, Dreamer's Bond, I think it's called. This is basically the, hey, here you go. You need a melee mod. Here's your melee mod. Protector training. Your target will prioritize attacking enemies that are within 15 meters of your Warframe. This also applies a 4 stacks of puncture on hit. Purchase with conservation tags from the Venus vendor. Okay, so I'm hoping that this is the trend where it's just going to be the different vendors let you buy all of these, because that's really cool. This video's going on for a while. Pacifist training. Your Kubra will not, your pet will not attack enemies unless they strike with a melee weapon first. Useful if your pet's supporting feature rather than its teeth and claws. It also gives 50% evasion bonus to your pet to keep it safe. Okay. Persistent engagement. Your pet will prefer to keep attacking one target until it's down, also increases the pet's damage. Cool. Your pet will prefer to attack Eximus and VIP enemies, increases damage to Overguard done to your pet by 300%, purchase and conservation tags from a Venus vendor. Your pet will prefer to hit an enemy once and then switch targets to affect as many enemies as possible, increases status duration by 80%. This is big. There are certain companions that are just like, I am the status spreader now. This is cool. Equipping these powerful upgrades will mod your companion with a large bonus to specific damage types, as well as converting all other physical or elemental, depending on the mod, damage on the weapon into those types. For example, if you equip Frostjaw and Venom Teeth, this would normally combine into a viral damage. But if you also equipped Incendiary Inclination, then all elemental damage is converted to heat damage instead. Oh, okay then. That's insane. Being able to just like say my companion will bring the cold damage and I will bring the blast is very, very powerful. Being able to put on all of the damage mods you want and then saying you're a pure heat build, this is huge. Being able to, because you get the choice of, oh, I'm bringing viral on my weapons, but what I'm not bringing is electric. So I'll just have my companion bring electric for me and get that alternative status. That's big. This just means that companions become some of the best priming helpers in the game for things like condition overload and rifle aptitude. Or galvanized aptitude, rather. That's nuts. This is actually insane that you can convert all of your companions' damage into heat or cold. It looks like we got cold, heat, toxin, and electric. Oh my god, there's also slash, impact, and puncture. And they're all purchased. So it's just, these are all inclination element, 300% that element, 300% status chance too. Damn. Okay. Are these all the same as the melee postures? Or are these just like Exilus mods, basically? This is all good. All of this is good. Every single thing here is phenomenal. This is all excellent. All of this is good. I think that you're mostly going to want either the heat one or the toxin one. Toxin is going to be better against Corpus because that'll bypass their shields, and then heat is just good. Heat's just like you're good, but like electric can also be insane. Same with slash. Like it's gonna be hard to say. I think the front runners are gonna be heat and toxin though. Prosperous Retriever, an alternate to Loyal Companion for players looking for more focus on the looting experience. This variant provides a passive 18% chance for each credit pickup that will be doubled. This version does not have a chance to double resources. Okay. Another specialized alternative. This variant provides an 18% passive chance that each resource will be doubled. This version does not. Okay, so you will have... you have Loyal Retriever. So these are going to be like, you won't be, I imagine this is going to be like the Vitality mods, right? So for Vitality, you have Flawed Vitality, Vitality, Archon Vitality, and Umbral Vitality, as well as Parasitic Vitality, but that one only applies to Nidus, so we're going to ignore it for now. But basically, like, you can't put Continuity and Primed Continuity on at the same time. They're called the family mods. You can't have Fury and Berserker Fury at the same time because they're both Fury mods. So I think Loyal Retriever, as well as Prosperous Retriever and Resourceful Retriever, are all going to be like the same family. So you get to pick one. So if you want more credits, there you go. Boom, more credits. If you want more resources, this is the one that becomes meta. This is the one that you will put on everything. Assuming you can't put this and Loyal Retriever on at the same time, I doubt you will be able to do that. This becomes the one that you want. So yeah, we're gonna have to go conservation farming. Oh no, not my favorite thing to do in Warframe. Weakened immunity, 50% status damage, okay. Cold the weak, 60% melee damage per status type afflicting a target, and 240% for non-critical hits. Oh, wow. They just gave our melee companions fucking condition overload. Okay. All right. That's absolutely phenomenal. I should probably break this up into 2 videos instead of keeping it one like hour-long one, but I'm not doing that. These mods have been changed from being compatible with beasts to being compatible with their weapons instead. Bite, maul. Okay, so just your damage mods. Oh my god, Strain Fever actually is becoming part of the Chargers. That's insane for the Helminth. Yeah, Strain Fever becoming the claw mod instead of something you have to put on the Kubro is phenomenal. Spare parts not compatible with Hounds and Sentinels instead of only Sentinels. Okay, whatever. Maggots are not created with their AI fully aware, which removes a pause they need to wake up. Okay. Strain Eruption always applies corrosive status. Nice. Fix is not actually giving extra damage persist, so stuck at 40%, not properly gives it. See what I mean? See what I mean by some of these just don't work. The Origin system never stops developing the most exotic and destructive weapons known to Tennokain, and the weapons mounted on our Sentinels are no exception. The gap between the top and the bottom has gotten wider than we would like to see, so please enjoy these changes, bringing up some of the weaker weapons. Not all weapons will focus on damage, some will gain new utility features. Gold Beam always applies cold status chance to newer status chance per firing interval. Okay, so this is updated to the new beam weapon mechanics. Improved accuracy and stats. Okay, a lot of this is just stat up, right? Like the damage is going from 7 to 20, status from 2 to 10. Rate of fire is going down a little bit, but this looks more like cleanup. And then crit is going way higher. This one also is just stats up. This is just stat up. Okay, this is coming, the Adarex is coming from the old way that beam weapons worked to the new way that beam weapons worked, which is fine, which is a lot better. This is just damage up. This is just damage up. This is just damage up. Cryota, fire the cold beam weapon. So this is just the Adarex again. Now fires volleys of icy grenades that persistently chill an area around them. Okay, so this is going to be like an AoE slow. It doesn't have the greatest crit, but it does have, you know, good enough base damage. And applying a force cold proc to enemies can be good. This is the one that's big, right? Because only Helios could use Deconstructor, and it would... This is one of the strongest ones in the game, because this is just like... Helios becomes an armor-stripping god. Helios Sentinel attacks enemies using pieces of itself. Increase the cone for choosing a secondary victim on the bounce to a 90-degree damage increased. Okay, I wonder if this is still going to be Helios only. It kind of sucks if it is, because it means that Helios is the only Sentinel that can be an armor-stripping monster, but, you know, that'll at least give Helios a nice niche. Death Machine, rapid-fire Sentinel with large mechanical tone. So this is just damage going up. This is just damage going up. Automatic gun that shoots laser bolts. Behavior chain unchanged, but damage. Okay, so damage going up. Damage going up. Projectile gun with very low and small amount of punch through. Now fires a powerful explosive dart that explodes in a large area after embedding into something, and then more damage. That's big. This Moltron, Moltron going from like a little pea shooter to an RPG. Nice. Stinger. Always applies attacks. Then continues to hit the target once per second for 3 seconds with the Stinger's modded damage. This can stack. Okay, so now instead of just like one shot, that now the dart stays in them and kills them. That's really nice. Stinger actually looks pretty good. So the Stinger is a gun that comes from, I forget where the Stinger comes from actually. I forget who has Stinger. I want to say it's Jin, because Jin's the infested pet. So the fact that it now just like stings you until you die is very good. Numbers going up, numbers going up, numbers going up. Oh no! The Tazakor projectile gun that shoots electric bullets to a chaining beam of electricity that can incapacitate several enemies. That sounds really fun. So it goes from like a tiny taser to a chain taser. Volcax is just damage going up. And then damage going up. So yeah, that is all of the changes. I didn't really go over the Sentinel weapons because a lot of this is just like, hey, look, the damage is up. It's more accurate. Hey, look, the damage is up. It's more accurate. Hey, look, the damage is up. Overall, really, really excited to see these companion reworks. I did not. This threw me for a loop. Really just like giving you the ability to train your pet the way you want. Make sure you do conservation. I'm definitely going to be knocking out conservation and dragging some friends to do conservation to get these new things. So that's the end of this movie. Reading the dev workshop. I haven't seen anybody actually go in and talk about the dev workshop, so this will be kind of unique to my channel. But yeah, I rambled for an hour and a half, looked at the dev workshop. Again, links to all this stuff will be in the description below. I'm super excited for the companion update, and I'm honestly more excited for that than I am for Koumei. Anyway, later guys.